Hello, everyone. This is Cheyenne Marling with the Wood O'Briens, and I want to take an opportunity to highlight the key on how to read and understand the dashboard for compensation for independent self-employed contract consultants. The dashboard that you received if you're independent self-employed contract consultant is a bit different from those who are permanently employed. One thing I want to point out right away, though, this is a sample of the dashboard so you can kind of understand the flow. The data charts are not exactly the same of what's included in your dashboard, but it should give you an understanding of how the dashboard flows. And more importantly, there's some things we cannot put into the dashboard, such as these text headers. So this will give you an understanding and kind of a flow on where you are within the dashboard if you compare it to the key. Another thing that's really important to note is that all compensations within the independent self-employed contract consultant compensation dashboard is converted to US dollar for all the respondents, regardless of the country. And we did that for consistency and conformity in the reporting of the data. Another thing that's important to note is that we provided this key because sometimes some of the text cuts off within the data charts. So you can always reference this key to find out what the full text should be saying. The reason being is the text in the dashboard is extracting directly from the study itself. And since we don't want to change the selection options within the study, we provided this key since the dashboard is cutting off some of the text within the data charts. So to get started, we have the location here. This is a global compensation assessment. So we do have number of respondents by countries and by average annual compensation by country, as well as low hourly rate and high hourly rate. That's the biggest distinction between the permanently employed dashboard and the independent self-employed dashboard, is that we do distinguish between low and high hourly rates. We have the annual compensation for all the study participants, as well as, again, average low and average high hourly rate. Again, all of these are in US dollar for consistency purposes. Then we get into gender and ethnicity. So we do the percent of respondents, the average annual compensation, again, not base, it's what you're earning for the entire year as an independent self-employed consultant, and then broken out by high and low, low or high hourly rates, excuse me. Then we get to ethnicity, same thing. And then you can see here, this is a great example. Some of the text is cutting off from this particular data chart. And here you can reference within the key what the complete text would be saying that's taken directly from the study. Then we get into work experience. The first data chart is total work experience, not just your experience within business continuity, IT resiliency, crisis management, but your total years of working overall. So we do the percent of respondents, the average annual compensation, and then we break it out by low, high hourly rate. So the dashboard kind of mirrors continuously a percent of respondents, the average annual compensation, and then low hourly rates. Then we get into years working as an independent consultant. So again, the percent of respondents, the annual compensation, low, high hourly rates, the length of the contract. So what percent, what was their average length for the last 2 years of their contract? How many months were they engaged in the last year? As well as, again, those low and high hourly rates by length of contract engagement, and then the average annual compensation by months working in the last year. Then we get into the billing term. So most of the individuals, according to this, do tend to do an hourly rate. You can see by the color coding that tends to be the highest overall. And then we get into discipline expertise. So again, not just business continuity crisis management, but you do quite a bit more within even independent consulting. We only highlight the top disciplines at the beginning of the dashboard. So business continuity, crisis incident management, so percent of respondents, and then by high, low, or low, high hourly rates, IT resiliency, resilience management, again, percent of respondents, and then the low, high hourly rates. Other disciplines are included towards the end of the dashboard. Then we get into education, so percent of respondents by degree, percent of respondents that have an advanced degree specifically within a business continuity related coursework. Then again, the low, high hourly rates for each. Then we get into what is the level. If you do have an advanced degree within business continuity, what is the level of degree, bachelor or master's, and then the rates as well. Now you'll see here that there's no data point given for the bachelor degree. So whoever responded with the bachelor degree in this particular dashboard did not give an hourly rate information. So even we do occasionally have responses that don't give rates or don't give compensations, and it's unfortunate because that does take away from the value of the dashboard. Then we get into the certification. I want to emphasize there is a certification listing that was included with your compensation, the global report, as well as with your dashboard link and key. So percent of respondents by certification status. Then we get into the number of certifications and the low, high hourly rates. And then next, we only highlight the top certifications per study response. Now, some of the dashboards you'll find there will be empty data graphs. And what that means is perhaps someone within your dashboard, no one responded with a particular certification from a certifying body. So first is broken up by business continuity related certifications. So first we have the BSI for the ISO 22301 lead implementer, and then the low, high hourly rates. Then we get into certifications from the BCI. And this one does the number of respondents versus, for certification, we do number of respondents versus percent of respondents. Then for the DRI, then we get into crisis management, emergency management related certifications. So those self-studies through the EMI, FEMA, or DHS. Then we get into technology related certifications. So those from the ITEL. Security clearance is next in the dashboard. So what's your security clearance and the low, high hourly rates. Then we get into management skills. So program management, budget management, so the percent of respondents, low, high hourly rates, direct staff management, global business continuity that actually is under real world experience. So here we get into the real world experience. So experience managing a program activation during an event, implementing a BC resiliency program from the ground up, percent of respondents, and then low, high hourly rates, leadership skills, presenting at a conference, publishing papers, serving on an industry-related board. Then we get into previous experience, percent of respondents, and then client engagement work. So this is something that's not included in the permanent compensation data assessment. So we have first, what percent did assessment work, client program assessment work in the last year? And if they answered yes, what specific type of work did they do in the last year? If they did any regulatory compliance, we highlighted the top responses for type of compliance regulatory work that the consultants were assisting their clients with. Business continuity, business focus, yes, no. And if they answered yes, they answered what type of business continuity program, business focus work they did in the last year. ITDR, client ITDR work. And if yes, what type of work specifically did they help their client with? And then general program work. And if yes, what type of work did they help their client with? And then we follow up with a discipline expertise that was not highlighted above. And this is only displaying the percent of respondents. And I believe that is it with this particular dashboard. So if you have any questions, we have one other thing. Work experience, so percent of responsibility. So what percent of your kind of role within the last year has been involved in asset protection or audit? So you can see a lot of these are 0%, but you'll see here business continuity. This means that 5% indicate they're 80% involved in business continuity planning as a part of their overall responsibilities throughout the year. So it gives you a good understanding of perhaps how your skill sets and qualifications compare to your peer group, specifically within the contract self-employed data respondents. If you have any questions, I encourage you to reach out to me at cmarling@woodobrians.com or reach out to me at Cheyenne Marling on LinkedIn. More than happy to help in any way that I can. And I hope you enjoy your dashboard and your complimentary report. One last thing, the dashboard should not be shared. Please encourage others to still participate, because if they do participate, their responses will auto-populate into all the dashboards that have been created. And the study will officially close on November 30th, 2023. So we keep it open to make the dashboards better for everyone moving forward throughout the year. And I hope you enjoy and reach out if you have any questions. Thanks so much. Bye.